Hello there, good evening. Thank you for choosing to start off your week with Rwanda Television News. We are glad you chose to join us on this edition, and this is what is coming up on edition tonight. The Rwanda Revenue Authority indicates that the cross-border trade increased on a greater rate than before COVID-19. 1,432 people working in 206 companies across the country did not pay any single coin on their study loans. We are very glad to have you join us on Rwanda Television News tonight, coming to you straight from the heart of Africa, Kigali. My name is Sam Kalisa. As we begin our edition tonight, let us inform you that on Monday evening, President Paul Kagame chaired the first cabinet meeting of the year 2023, during which the preliminary findings from the housing and population census carried out in all provinces of the country last year were discussed. Rwanda Revenue Authority indicates that cross-border trade increased on a greater rate than before COVID-19. However, passengers' movement from and into the country has not yet reached the rate it was before the COVID-19 pandemic. Prince Manzi has this report.
On the Kagitumba border between Rwanda and Uganda, currently, there's a vibrant movement of buses and citizens are moving from and to both countries. We are happy because I was able to bury my relative, and in recent times, it was not possible.
What I have seen, some days back, borders were blocked, but now it seems Corona and Ebola, it is now somehow reducing. So we are now freely moving, and we are enjoying border because by entering there was no effect. They have welcomed us safely.
By comparing year 2021 to 2022, the movement on the borders between Rwanda and Uganda increased by 10 times, from 63,790 in 2021 to 607,383. Truck drivers transporting different products also appreciate the services they are given. The services here at Kagitumba are good because everything is organized. Services can be bad if a driver is destabilized, but thanks to the security here, we are served and well received in Rwanda. It is my 9th or 10th time here, but I've never faced any difficulties here on the border, because in Rwanda, everything is organized. When you abide by the law, everything goes well. In roads also, everything is fine and safe. This is good. The Rwanda Directorate General of Immigration and Immigration demonstrates that 90% of entries and exits in Rwanda using usual land borders are citizens of the East African region. However, due to insecurities in the East DRC, the movement on the borders between Rwanda and DRC reduced. Regarding the movement on the Kigali International Airport, it was revived on an 80% rate compared by 2019 before the COVID-19 and last year, 2022. In general, the Rwanda Revenue Authority states that the cross-border trade recovered significantly, as explained by Mumbaneza Felicien, the Commissioner for Customs Services in the Rwanda Revenue Authority. When COVID-19 spread reduced, we saw the increase of the cross-border trade. For instance, the rate of imported products in 2021 increased by 40% compared to 2022. But COVID-19 did not make the rate of the products imported deduct any lower from how it was before the pandemic. This is the same with the exported products because the statistics demonstrates that the worth of the exported products during COVID-19 deducted by 1 billion Rwanda francs only. But after the pandemic, numbers of 2022 demonstrates that the exported products worth increased to 758 billion. These numbers demonstrate that there is a significant recovery in exportation. Comparing 2019 to 2022, the imported products in Rwanda increased on about 60% rate and the products exportation increased by 3 times. Prince Manzi, RwandaTV News.
Thank you, Prince, for the report. Moving ahead to health-related matters. On Monday, Rwanda joined the rest of the world in celebration of the International Day of Neglected Tropical Diseases and Malaria. The day is dedicated to revising the efforts to combat neglected diseases that threaten public health, but mostly those that are in the category of low-income earners. In celebration of this International Day of Neglected Diseases, the Ministry of Health reminded Rwandans not to ignore that these diseases, because they pose a serious threat on the Rwandan community in general. Dr. Albert Tuyishime, the head of Diseases Prevention and Control Department at the Rwanda Biomedical Center, RBC, pointed out that this is a global issue.
At the global level, we have around 1 billion people affected by these neglected tropical diseases, and they are worldwide distributed, even if we have a big portion of them in our Africa. So for Rwanda, these diseases, we are really taking them as one of the priority diseases we have to address.
The Ministry of Health indicates that 41% of Rwandans suffer from intestinal worms, 48% of whom are adults. What is worrying is that these diseases are killing people and leaving them disabled, yet they are preventable and can be treated. Dr. Albert Tuyishime further highlighted the ways that these diseases can be prevented.
These diseases, they don't have to be neglected in being allocated resources. Secondly, in taking them as light diseases, because they can really impair the lives of the ones affected. Secondly, they can be 100% prevented, and they are treatable. So everyone is really called to play his or her role.
The International Day of Neglected Tropical Diseases is being celebrated for the 3rd time with the theme, Together, we are working together to solve the challenges of sanitation and hygiene by eradicating neglected diseases such as malaria. Moving ahead, students in the Institute of Applied Sciences of Ruhengeri point out that the dialogue with the Senior Presidential Advisor on Security Matters, General James Kabarebe, on the liberation struggle and heroism of RPA soldiers reminded them their responsibilities as the youth.
It is a dialogue that we kept on the liberation struggle and heroism of young people who played part in this war. General James Kabarebe urged the 2,000 youth who participated in this dialogue to have a vision and respect in what they do, iterating that these help them to succeed the battle.
Kwihangana bijyanye na resilience, kwihanganira ibintu byinshi cyane.
Another thing is patience. Being patient goes hand in hand with resilience. Meanwhile, when you have what you are fighting for or having a goal, you be patient, because what you are fighting for is very broad and it's important in your life. Then we had that patience in order to stay focused on the goal of liberating our country, or that it was trained. I mean, it's not something which came anyhow, because the armies used to come from various places, such as Uganda, here in Rwanda, Zaire, and Burundi. General James Kabarebe urged these youth to avoid inconsistencies, as it leads to nothing. He gave an example of the President of the Republic, His Excellency Paul Kagame, who stuck with his word ever since the beginning of the Liberation War until now, and to him a bad thing is bad and a good thing is good. Some of the youth who participated in this dialogue say that they were satisfied with the advices given and have a responsibility of preserving the heroic achievements of their elders. The Institute of Applied Sciences Ruhengeri students requested for a program of teaching the youth the basics in the military and patriotism, and General James Kabarebe replied that this program is good and there's an ongoing analysis on how it can be implemented.
And moving ahead to other matters, the United Nations says that education is a human right, a benefit for all and everyone's responsibility. Despite this, the UN says there is a large number of children who drop out of school in different parts of the world. We do have this report with Adam Squizera.
At Kenya School in Gasawa district, there are currently over 3,000 children in primary and secondary school. Rurangwa Emmanuel, the acting principal of this school, says that they are putting efforts into making the students love the school instead of dropping out.
Dufite umwihariko twabonye umuterankunga abaha umugati mu gitondo saa 4.
We get a sponsor who gives them a bread in the morning, which makes them love school, as we are also trying to feed in the government's program of school feeding. We have over 30 students who returned at school where they have been on streets, and moreover to that, we follow up on them daily. In 2015, when the countries adopted the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, the international community confirmed that the education is one of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. However, both in Rwanda and around the world, there is a still problem of children dropping out of school. According to the 2020-2021 Ministry of Education report, the number of school dropouts in primary schools increased from 7.8% in 2019 to 9.5% in 2020-2021. The report further indicates that the dropout rate in secondary schools increased from 8.2% in 2019 to 10.3% in 2021. However, the government is determined to reduce the number of children who drop out of school, as planned in the government's 7-year plan, which aims to accelerate the sustainable and inclusive growth. In that program, the number of immigrants in secondary schools will reach to 92.4% in 2024 from 71.1% in 2017. Dr. Morenzi Fanuel pointed out on how education has a great value both for students, their families, and the country as well.
Umwana wize neza.
When a child studies well, in a good condition, it prevails him the opportunities in his or her life. As for the fact that when he or she studies, it's also a great benefit for the country. As there is a quote of Nelson Mandela, who once said that the solution poverty this world is facing is education.
Ushaka kurandura ibibazo uyu munsi isi ifite cyane cyane ubukene.
The Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, notes that the countries should understand the value of caring for education.
It has always been shocking to me that education has been given such a low priority in many government policies and in international cooperation instruments. The theme of this year's International Day of Education reminds us that to invest in people prioritize education. Investment is critical to achieving Sustainable Development Goal 4. Last year's Transforming Education Summit gathered the world together to reimagine education systems so every learner accesses the knowledge and skills required to succeed. Over 130 countries made commitments to ensure that universal quality education becomes a central pillar of public policies and investments. A call to action on educational investment and the establishment of international financing facility for education created a fresh push on domestic and international financing. And the summit launched a range of global initiatives to mobilize support for education in crisis settings, girls' education, foundational learning, transforming teaching, digital tools, and green education systems. Now is the time for all countries to translate their summit commitments into concrete actions that create supportive and inclusive learning environments for all students. Now is also the time to end all discriminatory laws and practices that hinder access to education. I call on the de facto authorities in Afghanistan, in particular, to reverse the outrageous and self-defeating ban on access to secondary and higher education for girls. And I also encourage countries to place education at the heart of preparations for the SDG Summit in 2023 and the Summit of the Future in 2024. Most of all, I urge civil society and youth to continue calling for more and better investment in quality education. Let's keep the flame of transformation burning Let's deliver education systems that can support equal societies, dynamic economies, and the limitless dreams of every learner in the world.
Data from UN Education, Scientific and Culture, UNESCO, shows that 244 million boys and girls are still out of school this year, where 617 million children and adolescents cannot read and do basic math. Less than 40% of girls in sub-Saharan Africa complete lower secondary school, whereas 4 million refugee children and youth are out of school. This means that there are currently more than 759 million adults in the world who do not read, write, as 2/3 of them are women. Adam Squizera, RTV News.
1,432 people working in 206 companies across the country did not pay any single coin on their study loans. The Development Bank of Rwanda, BRD, and its partners are encouraging these people to pay, adding that failure to do so, appropriate measures will be taken, including punishments. Betty Mutoni has this report.
On 5th January 2023, the government of Rwanda published a new ministerial order pertaining the runners' benefits and study loans, aiming at strengthening the governance of the government tertiary student loan and bursary scheme and reinforcing measurements for recovery of loans. The Development Bank of Rwanda noted that students who studied on the study loans working in all sectors, it's their responsibility to inform their employees that they have a loan in order to prepare for the payment, as it is explained by Wilson Rurangwa, the head of Education Department in BRD.
Normally, it's the responsibility of the beneficiary who has got an income to declare. Specifically, when you are employed, you need to inform your employer that you benefited from the study loan. So the moment you declare yourself to the employer has the responsibility also to declare to the BRD those employees that benefited. And from there, the process of deducting starts.
A study loan beneficiary who does not inform the employer that he studied on study loan for it to be deducted from his or her salary, or an employer who does not declare or deduct and pay 10% fine of the due amount will be issued.
And the employer has the responsibility also to declare that stuff. If you don't declare as an employer, then there's also 10% penalty for the amount that was supposed to be paid. But also for employer has additional penalties. If you don't declare that there's that 10%, but also if you don't deduct, after having declared and BRD has informed you the loans for your employees, and you don't deduct, there's also 10% introduced. If you deduct and you don't deposit, again there's another penalty that is attached, which is also 10% of the amount that was supposed to be paid on the BRD recovery bank account.
The Director General of Higher Education Council requests all the people who studied on study loan to pay so that others can also be helped to get. That means those few who got a chance to work. We see how we can pay that loan. For the students not sending messages to BRD, requesting it to give them the loan, we request you to help us. If you get a loan and you have a job, come and clear with the BRD. The Development Bank of Rwanda says that there will be time where a person with unpaid study loan will not be able to get any other loan from commercial bank. Currently, the statistics shows that 29,000 people paid since 2016, totaling to amount 21 billion. Betty Mutoni, RTV News.
Thank you, Betty. We'll keep it to education matters. Parents in different parts of the country are appreciating the establishment of an online reading platform for children, which has helped the children to get knowledge about the history and culture of the country. Adam Squizera goes ahead.
To access children's books, you only need to have a mobile phone with internet connection, where you open an application called Nabu and open the book of your choice. Apart from using internet bundles, once you download the book, you can begin to read it offline. The initiators of this system knows the benefits of this electronic book system.
Can read, is able to explore the world without leaving the place. So as of now, a kid can develop the reading skills, but also be able to acquire like different vocabularies. Two, he's able to actually relate what he a kid has read in the books and be able to relate it to his actual learning from schools. So it's just going hand in hand because like a kid has developed such amazing skill of reading. We base on any content that a kid needs to be exposed to at a very young age, maybe environment, technology. So we tackle different contexts because a kid needs to be exposed to each and every angle at a very young age, so that maybe as he grow up, he's able to know where to drive career, having a context of what each and every career is all about.
The stories contained in those books, read by children through the use of technology, are considered based on the various age groups and focus on the whole aspects of the people's lives, history, environment. Stories that discover children's curiosity, among others. The stories included in these electronic books are for children under the age of 12, where those stories are in Kinyarwanda and have been translated into English. Since 2018, 146 types of books have been recorded and they have been downloaded from the internet 1.6 million times. Some parents who downloaded these books testify that they reduced the money they used to spend on buying children's books since they are usually expensive.
One has 7 years old and the other is having 1 year. There are some stories we read like Izere. Usually minimum price of books for children is 3,000. But when having this app of Nabu, you can read many books. Plus to that, you can even lend the phone when there are other kids who visited you. Meanwhile, it's simple.
The United Nations Educational and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, says that every child should read a book at least 15 minutes a day. As the Chief Digital Officer in the Ministry of Education, Bella Rwigamba, notes on how this learning method supports the current curriculum.
Now what digital reading brings, or what I'll say, how the technology helps in this, is that it broadens now the amount of books that the kids are able to read. So the advantage for the kids, of course, is that you have more books, availability or accessibility of more books, more than you could find maybe at the school level. So it broadens their knowledge, broadens the contents that they have. The second for the parents is that they are now able to read more with their kids because they have more access to books, and it also could reduce the cost of buying the books, and then they have a bigger range of books or different type of books that they are able to read with their kids or to help their kids read. Yeah.
Experts emphasize that putting efforts into the use of technology in reading from young age is an important step, as it also promotes the culture of reading in children. Adam Squizera, RTV News.
In the city of Kigali, 5 wetlands are going to be renovated to be used for different activities, including tourism, as well as being the source of income to the city residents. Unfortunately, an artificial lake will not be introduced in the Gikondo swamp as it was expected.
The Rwanda Environment Management Authority revealed that a study was conducted on the renovation of the Gikondo wetland, where used to be industries, Rwampara, Nyabugogo, Rugenge as well as Kibumba wetlands, all located in the city of Kigali. Martin Uwera of the Rwanda Environment Management Authority states that preparing and preserving these wetlands was not ignored. The purpose is to avoid floods due to water from mountains. These waters will be collected, filtrated, and then proceeded to rivers. Another thing is to fight against the climate change and distribution of quality air in the Kigali city. Specifically, the Gikondo wetland, some of the city residents heard about the introduction of an artificial lake in it. However, Rema states that the study showed that artificial lakes cannot be introduced in these wetlands at the moment. We will introduce small ponds for visitors to relax around water freshness, but not to swim. About the lake, because of how these wetlands were damaged, the study revealed that it is not favorable to introduce lakes at the moment. Meanwhile, The Nyandungu Eco Park is one of the renovated wetlands. Some of the visitors say that what was done for this eco park should be done to other wetlands in Kigali city. It is a nice place, quiet but expensive, and it would be better if there would be other places like this that are cheap and accessible by many people. I have never seen any other wetland as good as this. This demonstrates how Rwanda prioritizes preservation of the environment. This is very good. It should also be introduced in other places. Environmental experts demonstrate that while renovating wetlands in cities, the focus should be on the benefits of residents. It is essential that beneficiaries, especially citizens, benefit from these wetlands. Citizens should provide ideas to ease their contribution. Another thing is the funds and experts for analyzing and provide a relevant and efficient study. And the implementation should be carefully done for the goals to be achieved. Environmental experts point out that renovating wetlands in the city will boost the city tourism as well as preserving the biodiversity. The Rwanda Environment Management Authority demonstrates that the renovation of these wetlands will commence in June this year and end in 2025. Prince Manzi, RwandaTV News.
On behalf of the entire news production as well as the technical team, thank you for being with us on this edition of Rwanda Television News. Up until next time, stay safe and have a fruitful week ahead. Goodbye.